Did you know there is a town in Ohio that the United States government legally erased from the map, leaving behind a ghost town that will make you question everything you know about the Rust Belt? This isn't just an abandoned settlement. It's a place where the government forced hundreds of families out of their homes with shocking speed, and then the legends moved in. Tonight, we're going to Helltown. Before it was Helltown, it was Boston Township, Ohio, one of the oldest settlements in Summit County, first surveyed in 1805. The settlers named it after Boston, Massachusetts, as a nod to their New England roots. For over a century, this was a perfectly ordinary, thriving American town. In the 1820s, the construction of the Ohio and Erie Canal brought workers and families flooding into the region. Farmers, tradesmen, people building a life. The nearby town of Peninsula became the beating heart of the township, complete with boatyards, dry docks, and hotels. Then came the railroad in 1880, which slowly replaced the canal. Decades later, the industry dried up, and like so many small Midwestern towns, Boston quietly faded, but it didn't disappear. Families stayed. They kept their homes, their churches, and their cemeteries. Life went on, slowly, quietly, the way it does in small-town America. That is until 1974. In late 1974, President Gerald Ford signed legislation allowing the National Park Service to purchase land to create the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area. Sounds fine on paper, right? More green space, except here's what most people don't know. The residents of Boston Township were given almost no leverage. Using eminent domain, the federal government moved in and informed families, some of whom had owned their land for generations, that it was time to go. They weren't asking, they were telling. Imagine someone from Washington knocking on your door and giving you a deadline to leave the only home you've ever known. Hundreds of families packed up and left. Homes were boarded up. A mass relocation swept through the valley, and Boston Township became a ghost town almost overnight. One displaced resident painted a bitter message on the wall of their home before leaving. It read, "Now we know how the Native Americans felt." And here's the kicker. While the surrounding valley did eventually become a beautiful national park, the town of Boston itself was largely left to rot. The government tore down some structures and boarded up others, leaving a eerie, vacant scar right in the middle of a nature reserve. Locals, angry, grieving, and unsettled, started calling it by a new name, Helltown. Once the people left, the stories arrived. The first thing trespassers noticed was the church, a small Presbyterian church still standing in the abandoned town, decorated shockingly with upside-down crosses. For anyone driving through the dark, empty roads, that image alone was enough to make your blood run cold. Rumors spread that the church had become a meeting place for satanic cultists who used the isolation to perform dark rituals. The truth is a little more mundane, but only slightly. The church was built in a Gothic revival style, an architectural tradition where the cross of St. Peter, an upside-down cross, was actually a common design element. But once the legend took hold, reality didn't matter. Then there was the school bus. Deep in the woods, an old school bus sat rusting away from any usable roads. Ghost hunters claimed it was haunted by the spirits of murdered school children, and that if you looked closely through the cracked windows, you could still see the killer sitting inside. The real story, a local family was using the bus as temporary housing while renovating their home. When they moved out, they simply left the bus behind. And of course, there's crybaby bridge. Legend says if you park your car on the bridge at night, you'll return to find the hood covered in dust and tiny, invisible handprints, accompanied by the faint, agonizing sound of a baby crying in the dark woods below. Before we get to the most disturbing theory surrounding Helltown, the one involving a massive toxic cover-up, we need to talk about survival. In the digital age, standing out and reaching your people is harder than ever. That's where tonight's sponsor, Northlink.co, comes in. Northlink is an all-in-one marketing platform designed to help businesses break through the noise. With just a few clicks, you can launch targeted marketing campaigns to reach your ideal customers through LinkedIn, automated emails, and voicemail drops. If you're a business owner or manage a sales team, don't leave your growth to chance. Book a one-on-one demo of the platform today by heading to northlink.co to learn more. Okay, now back to the mystery. Here's where the story takes a sharp turn into government conspiracy. There are those who believe the evacuation of Boston Township had absolutely nothing to do with national parks. They believe the real reason the town was cleared out is a massive toxic chemical spill. According to local theorists, a hazardous waste dump in the area had severely contaminated the land and water supply. To avoid a public relations disaster and massive lawsuits, the government allegedly used the national park legislation as a legal smokescreen to evacuate the citizens without causing a panic. The government has never confirmed a chemical event in the area, but for decades that silence has only fueled the fire and birthed one of Helltown's most bizarre legends, the Peninsula Python. Locals began reporting sightings of a massive, mutated, python-like creature moving through the dense Ohio brush. The theory? An ordinary snake exposed to the toxic waste dump that grew to monstrous, impossible proportions. No physical evidence of the python has ever been found, but in a town already defined by the unexplained, one more anomaly didn't seem that hard to believe. Finally, we have the Boston Cemetery sitting quietly at the edge of the woods. Visitors note that some of the oldest gravestones appear to be melting, warping, and sinking into the earth in a way that looks deeply unnatural. Is it the result of cheap 19th century materials, decades of acid rain, or is the soil itself tainted by something hidden beneath the earth? We may never know the absolute truth about what happened in the valley in 1974. But whether Helltown is a place of literal monsters and cults, or simply a monument to the devastating power of government eminent domain, one thing is certain. When you erase a community, the shadows always find a way to fill the void. What do you think really happened in Boston Township? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dark history.